Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Bernadine Jai Singh for News First, where people come first. Let's now take a look at headlines.
Prime Minister hosts discussions on the 21st Amendment. JVP boycotts discussions with the Prime Minister, says not interested in conspiracies.
නිකම් පිනට ලබා දුන්නා වගේ තියෙන අගමැතිවරයෙකුට මේ 21 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් ලැබෙන බලතල හෙබවීමේ අයිතියක් නැහැ.
People demanding for kerosene close down the Panchagavatta road. Refinery receives crude oil. Production to begin in 6 days. Shashi Veeravansa sentenced to 2 years in prison. Surveyors visit Gota Gogama along with the CID.
The party leaders' meeting on the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, chaired by the Prime Minister, was held this evening. The majority of those present at the meeting today were in favour of the draft presented by the Minister of Justice. The group is scheduled to meet again next Friday.
The 21st.
Representatives of many political parties besides the JVP were present at the discussions that were held at the office of the Prime Minister today. The General Secretary of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Ranjit Madhum Bandara, and a group of lawyers from the party represented the SJP at the meeting. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Dayasiri Jayasekara, and President's Council, Faisal Mustafa, represented the SLFP at the meeting. Leader of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Rauf Hakim, leader of the All Ceylon Makkal Congress, Rishad Badiruddin, leader of the Tamil Progressive Alliance, Mano Ganeshan, and leader of the Workers' National Front, P. Digambaran, were also present at the meeting. Parliamentarians Udayagamman Pilla, Dilan Pereira, Veerasumana Veerasinghe, and several other parliamentarians also attended the meeting.
The people were expecting a 19 plus. They expected for the executive presidential system to be completely abolished. What was presented today was a 19 minus. It allowed the president to hold on to several powers and ministerial portfolios. We informed them of our amendments and asked them to think about the country and to do this in 2 phases. We asked the government to present a specific time frame during which the executive presidential system will be completely abolished.
Bar Association යෝජනාව කීපයක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තිනවා අපි ඒකත් අතුරු කරන්න කියලා අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරා.
ඒක සියලු දෙනාගේ සහයෝගය ලැබෙයිද? ලැබෙයිද ඔබතුමාට විශ්වාසද?
ඔබතුමා ජනතාවගේ ඉල්ලීම ඕක නිසා මම හිතන්නේ 225ම ඒකට ඡන්ද දෙයි කියලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
දැන් රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා විශ්වාසයිද මේක එතුමා ගේන විදිය අනුව?
Some people spoke about how the powers should be devolved. We will not in any way agree to any reduction in the powers devolved under the 13th Amendment to the Constitution.
ගෙනාපු යෝජනා ටික අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරා සාකච්ඡාවට. මම හිතන්නේ ලබන සතියේත් නැවත සාකච්ඡාවක් තියලා සියලු දෙනාම එකට එකතුව තීන්දුවක් ගනී කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරන්න පුළුවන්.
පුරවැසි භාවයේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය
අපි මේ මතයේ ඉන්න බොහොම පැහැදිලිව ද්විත්ව පුරවැසි භාවයේ දරන කිසි කෙනෙකුට අමාත්‍ය ධූර, මන්ත්‍රී ධූර හෝ ජනාධිපතිව අගමැති විතරක් නෙවෙයි ප්‍රධාන තනතුරු දැරීම ආණ්ඩුවක් තුළ නවත්තන්න ඕනේ කියන කාරණය.
පොදුවේ අපි දල එකගතාවයකට ආවේ.
In general, we came to a consensus after considering the situation in the country and to consider the hardships faced by the people to bring the 21st Amendment to the Constitution soon to stabilize the country and develop the economy. We proposed for the appointment of a parliamentary working committee to draft a new constitution to replace this constitution, and that was amended several times. We will prepare a new constitution after considering the needs of everyone in the country. Many party leaders were not present today. We will inquire into their opinion as well. The cabinet is preparing to make a decision on this matter on the Monday that falls after next Friday.
ඊළඟ සිකුරාදෙන් පස්සේ එන සඳුදා අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ තීන්දුවක් ගන්නයි සූදානම.
ද්විත්ව පුරවැසියෙක් මේ රටේ විවස්සාදායකයින් එකට ඒ අපි ඒ වෙලාවේ කරපු වැරද්දක් කියලා මම පිළිගන්නවා. ඒක නැවත නිවැරදි කරගන්න මේක අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්නවා. මේක අපි පුද්ගලයෙකු වටා හදන දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. මේක රටක් වෙනුවෙන් ගන්න තීරණයක්.
The Janata Vimukti Peramuna, who did not take part in the meeting chaired by the Prime Minister on the 21st Amendment, presented a series of proposals on the amendment today.
With
the powers of the President being amended, a considerable amount of powers will be transferred to the Prime Minister. The powers vested with the President is diverted to different bodies. Ranil Wickremesinghe is not suitable to exercise such powers that will be vested with the Prime Minister, as he is a Prime Minister who was rejected by the people. Our proposal is to bring forward a transitional provision in the amendment to the Constitution to shorten the tenure of this Parliament. The official term of this Parliament should be reduced to between 2 to 3 years. After the term of Parliament ends like this, the people will get the opportunity to vote at a parliamentary election and choose a new Prime Minister. The new powers of the Prime Minister should be exercised by the Prime Minister of this new Parliament.
මෙම 21 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් පැවරෙන බලතල ලැබිය යුතු වන්නේ. ඔහේ නිකම් පිනට ලබා දුන්නා වගේ තියෙන අගමැතිවරයෙකුට මේ 21 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් ලැබෙන බලතල හෙබවීමේ අයිතියක් නැහැ.
A Prime Minister who was appointed without a proper procedure does not have the right to hold the powers given to him under the 21st Amendment. Therefore, we are hoping to bring forward several proposals to this amendment. Firstly, an amendment to remove a parliamentarian from his seat if that parliamentarian crosses over to another party. Secondly, the power vested in the President to grant presidential pardons must be limited. The President should not be allowed to hold ministerial portfolios. Limitations must be imposed, preventing dual citizens from holding important positions in the government. Secretaries to ministries must be appointed through the Constitutional Council. Moreover, amendments must be implemented allowing the Bribery Commission and the CID to carry out investigations into the assets of public representatives based on complaints that have been filed. These are the proposals we are hoping to introduce to the 21st Amendment.
මෙම 21 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේට අපේ සංශෝධනයට අපි බාර දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
මේ වලින්ට මේ ප්‍රධාන පක්ෂවල නියමිතව පිළිද යනවා අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය කාර්යාලයට අද දවසේ මීටින් එක.
අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයාත් එක්ක මාලිගා කුමන්ත්‍රණ අපිට නැහැ. නමුත් අපි මේ යෝජනා අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යවරයා වෙත ලිඛිතව දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු.
සාමාන්‍ය කියන්නේ පූල් එකට බහැලා මේක ගේම් එකේ ඉන්න බැරි අය ඔබතුමාලට.
මේ පූල් එක වස විස වලින් පිරීලා තියෙනවා. ওই පූල් එකේ පීනපු දවසේ ඉඳන් බැහැපු දවසේ ඉඳන් පහුවදා නම් කහ ඉන්න වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මම හිතන්නේ මේ ඔබලා බලපු ලෙහෙලා බලපු ගසලා බලපු මල්ල ආයත් අදා බලන දෙයක් අපිට නන්නේ.
Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says there are no plans to postpone the provincial council elections.
The elections are important for both the local government and national politics. As the subject minister, I can clearly say that the elections will not be postponed.
While public representatives are busy debating on whether to preserve or dilute their powers, the public was seen standing in queues for days.
Frustrated protesters blocked the main road from Armour Street to Fort today. They had not been able to purchase kerosene for over a month.
දැන් මාස එකමාරක් වෙන මගේ පොඩි එකී බත් කාලා අවුරුදු එකමාරයි බත් ටිකක් කන්න දෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ ලාම තෙල් නැහැ ගෑස් නැහැ බයි මට ලාම තෙල් ටික හරි දෙන්න අපිට ගෑස් ඇවිල්ලා පණ්ඩායි සල්ලි දීලා කත ගන්න විදියක් නැහැ ඉංගන්න මිනිස්සු ඉන්නේ කොසත් මිනිස්සු නෙමෙයි දුප්පත් මිනිස්සු ඉන්නේ ඒකට හරියට දෙන්න කියන්න ලාම තෙල් ඉරිසන් නාණ්ඩු හරි ඒක පුදුම එක මාවකගේ එක රට ඒකට පෙට්‍රල් සෙට් එකට ගියාම කොළඹ දායට නැහැ දාලා අතන සෙට් එකේ භූමි තෙල් දෙනවා ඒගොල්ලෝ
The OIC of the Maradana police station arrived at the location.
The entire demand for kerosene oil in the country is supplied by the Sapugaskanda oil refinery. It has been 70 days since the Sapugaskanda oil refinery was shut down. The oil refinery was closed on the 20th of March due to a crisis in importing crude oil. The Minister of Power and Energy says the refinery can be restarted in 6 days. Meanwhile, a Russian tanker named Ninos Dilos carrying 89,000 metric tons of crude oil is nearing Colombo. The order was placed as an emergency purchase on the 25th of April. According to the employees of the Sapugaskanda oil refinery, the crude oil can be used to issue 1,000 metric tons of kerosene oil to the market daily for a period of 2 weeks. The Trade Unions Collective for the Protection of Petroleum Resources staged a protest today as well, demanding for the operations at the Sapugaskanda oil refinery to be continued. Do not stop the operations after the arrival of this crude oil ship. There is no refinery in the world that shuts down its operations temporarily from time to time. Halting operations at the refinery will not fix this. This will only cause more damage to the refinery. The damage that we are witnessing right now is just the tip of the iceberg. Throughout our country's history, we have never imported crude oil of this nature. They have not revealed the capacity of this crude oil shipment. We don't know who is responsible for importing this crude oil. We used a crude oil known as Murban crude oil. Now they have imported a Russian crude oil. We have never used this crude oil before. Since the day we began the operations at the refinery, we have never paid a demurrage of $25,000 per day for a crude oil shipment. This emergency shipment, which was brought to the country owing to some commission paid to someone, cost the country $125,000 every day that it was delayed. This amount has now exceeded $3.4 million. This is only the demurrage. There are nearly 660,000 crude oil barrels on this ship. According to the data that we have received so far by now, they have already paid $4 per barrel. The shortage of essential goods have forced people to stand in multiple queues to purchase basic essentials. The number of queues the people have to stand in has increased to such an extent that it has now led to a state of confusion. People who were at a fuel queue in Andigama had to experience an unexpected turn of events today. A mistake made when unloading a stock of 13,200 litres of fuel in Andigama resulted in diesel being unloaded into the petrol storage tank while petrol was unloaded into the diesel storage tank. The wrong form of fuel issued to vehicles that were in queue at the fuel station had caused serious damage to the vehicles.
සම්පූර්ණ ඩීසල් කියලා ගැහුවේ සම්පූර්ණ ටැංකිය තිබිලා තියන්නේ පෙට්‍රල් විල නවත්තන තැනට එනකොට හෙඩ් එක හතර වටේම ඔයිල් එකක් කරන්ට ගත්තා ඉස්සරහට පස්සට ගන්නවත් බෑ එන්න බලද්දි බයික් ස්ටාර්ට් නෑ ඊට පස්සේ ඇදගෙන ගිහිල්ලා ළඟම ගෑරේජ් එකට ගිහිල්ලා හදාගත්තා හවස 5 විතර වෙද්දි හදාන ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා අද උදේ එන්න ඇති ආයි බයික් එක ස්ටාර්ට් නෑ පෙට්‍රල්ද ඩීසල්ද කියලා අපි දන්නේ නැහැ හරියට අද අපහුව අරන් එන්න කිව්වා මේක තෙල් මාරු කරලා දෙනවා කියලා ඒකින්ද අපි අරන් ආවා දැන් ඔයාගේ නම ගම එතනට දෙන්න දීලා කියලා ඔයා යන්න ඔය තෙල් ටිකක් අරගෙන අපි කතා කරන වෙලාවට ඔයා එන්න ෆෝන් නම්බරේ දෙන්න කතා කරන වෙලාවට තෙල් එකක් අරන් එන්න ඕන හරි මොකක් හරි අපේ අතින් වැරද්දක් වෙන්න ඇති ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් හිතන්න ඕන අපි වාහන හදාගන්නේ කොහොමද ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් මොනවද ඉන්න කියන්නේ තෙල් ටික දෙනවා වාහන වලට මලවල් වෙලා තියෙනවට ඒවට එයා වක් කියනවා කිව්වා හරිද මොනවා හරි එයා කරලා දෙයි යාට අපි අනිවාර්ය වක්කින් බාර ගන්නවා.
The Andigama fuel station was then sealed off. We obtained samples needed for further investigations. We sealed off the fuel station today so that they can't sell fuel until we conclude the investigations.
Farmers preparing for the Yala season are seen in fuel queues as well. Farmers of the Ridiyagama Agrarian Association were seen at the Ambalantota depot for the 4th day. However, fuel was not distributed today either.
එනේන බස් එකේ මේ කෑන් යනවා බස් එකේ සෙනග නැහැ නමුත් කෑන් යනවා ඇතුළට
මේ විදිහට තෙල් දුන්නොත් මාස 3ක් යනවා මේ ඉන්න ගොවි ජනතාවට තෙල් දෙන්න. එතකොට ගොවිතැන් කරන්න කාලයක් නැහැ මේ ගොවියන්. මේක කම්බ කරන්න පට්ට හුරු ටික. බස් එක යනවා පූලි 10ක් විතර. ගොවි මහතුරු බලන් ඉන්න බස් වල මොකද පූලි යන්නේ? පට්ට හුරු.
The management of the Ambalantota depot then held discussions with the farmers.
මේකට බවුසර් එව්වද නැද්ද? ගොයින්ට දෙන්න.
Farmers have been severely affected by the fuel shortage in Manampitiya, Polonnaruwa.
අහිංසක ගොවි ජනතාවට කෙල් කඳුලක් දහස් පාක වෙලා ඉන්න මොකක්ද මේ ආණ්ඩුව?
දවස් 6යි මං ඇවිල්ලා. දෙපාරක් දෙයියා කිව්වා අපිට 4ට එන්න කියලා. මං 4ට ආවේ. 4000 කියන දිනා මට. එතකොට පොඩි එකත් එක්ක ඔක්කොමලා බඩගින්නේ ඉන්නේ.
Farmers then visited the Dimbulagala Divisional Secretariat, hoping to meet the Divisional Secretary.
වැඩක් නෑ මේ කියලා.
එන්න ඔයාලා යන්න ඕනේ ඡන්ද දීලා පත් කරගත්ත මිනිස්සු.
හරි. රාජ්‍යයේ ලේකම් ඉන්නේ මොකද? ඒකට දෙන්නේ කොට උත්තර. අපිට දෙන්න ඩීසල් නෑ ගොවියට. ටිපර් කෝල් මත හප්පාම ගොවියට ඩීසල් නෑ. ඒක නිසා අපිට ඩීසල් දෙන්න කියලා.
මාත්‍ය ආඩි වෙලා පොඩ්ඩක් ඉක්මනින් කතා කරන්න.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe met with agronomists to discuss steps that can be taken to prevent a food shortage in the country. Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira, Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva, Minister of Irrigation and Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Roshan Ranasinghe joined the discussions. During the discussions, the Prime Minister said that $600 million are required to ensure an adequate supply of fertilizer.
දෙවන ලෝක යුද්ධ කාලයට ඇතුළේ නෑ ලංකාවේ ඇතුළේ යුද්ධ කාලයට ඇතුළේ වෙලා නෑ ඉතින් අපි කොහොමද ආහාර ලබා ගන්න ක්‍රියා කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මේ වැඩසටහන එකතු කරගෙන උඹනා මුදල්ලා අපි ඉන්නමු එක එක රටවල් වලින් පුළුවන් විදිහට ඕර ලබා දෙන්න බීජ ලබා දෙන්න දැනට ඩොලර් මිලියන 198ක් තියෙනවා කොච්චරද දුවන ඉතින් අයිසී වැඩේම කරනවා ඒකට මට පේන හැටියට මේ මිල වැඩි වෙන්න යනවා.
Prime Minister Wickremesinghe said that a new act dubbed Essential Agricultural Supply Act will be introduced in Parliament. This is to ensure the continuous supply and distribution of agricultural commodities. He said that the world is facing a shortage of wheat and fertilizer due to the ongoing war in Ukraine, adding that it would deteriorate if immediate action is not taken. The Prime Minister instructed officials to identify cultivable utility lands in urban areas as a solution to the upcoming food crisis. He added that the country is in a dangerous situation and a concerted effort is needed to recover.
India and Japan have agreed to work together on assisting Sri Lanka as the country faces an economic and political crisis. Prime Ministers Narendra Modi and Fumio Kishida met on Tuesday the 24th on the sidelines of the Quad Summit.
Japan's foreign ministry said the leaders discussed the situation in Sri Lanka and confirmed that they will cooperate with each other in light of the current economic crisis and deterioration of the humanitarian situation in the country. For over half a century, Japan has been one of Sri Lanka's top donors and development partners, although its grants and investments have received much less attention compared to those from China. Japan's announcement of collaborating with India to help Sri Lanka comes shortly after Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's proposal of a foreign consortium for financial assistance from Quad members, United States, India, Japan and Australia.
Sri Lankan High Commissioner and the Indian Finance Minister evaluated the status of ongoing economic cooperation between the two countries during a meeting this evening.
Following his meeting in mid-April, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragada, again met with the Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, today to evaluate the status of ongoing cooperation and to discuss the way forward. High Commissioner Moragada briefed Minister Sitharaman on the present development in Sri Lanka. The High Commissioner reiterated that Sri Lanka would require bridging finance until the economic adjustment program with the IMF could be negotiated and finalized. In this context, the Minister and the High Commissioner explored the possibility of increasing and restructuring the assistance provided by India in the form of credits for essential commodities and fuel, as well as balance of payment support. In this regard, it was agreed that the established official level mechanism for conducting the economic dialogue between the two countries should continue.
Tamil Nadu's Chief Minister M.K. Stalin yesterday said that this is the best time to reclaim the Kachativu Island and ensure that the traditional fishing zone and rights of Tamil Nadu fishing community is protected. This statement was discussed broadly. I would like to draw the attention of the Prime Minister to save Kachativu Island and ensure the traditional fishing zone and rights of the Tamil Nadu fishing community, in turn solving the main issue of the coastal fishing community in Tamil Nadu. This is the most opportune moment to do so. However, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who also participated in the event, did not comment on the matter. After the ceremony, BJP's Tamil Nadu state leader Kurupusamy Annamale commented on the statement. What he is saying is wrong. We know how to reclaim the Kachativu Island. You handed it over to them. Don't teach us how to reclaim it now. They were the very representatives who dined with the Rajapaksa family in 2009 when Tamil people were being killed. Narendra Modi has done a lot for the Tamil people in Sri Lanka by building more than 50,000 houses for them.
British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Sarah Halton met with Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires today.
In a meeting with Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires, British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Sarah Halton said that bilateral and multilateral means of aid are being explored to assist Sri Lanka. The Foreign Minister has also stressed the importance of launching an aid program targeting the most vulnerable of the society. British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Sarah Halton also met with the new Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena to congratulate on her appointment today.
U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chang met with Sri Lanka Air Force Commander Sudarshana Patrana today.
Ambassador Chung tweeted that a strong, secure Sri Lanka is critical to the stability and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region. The ambassador and the Air Force commander discussed about efforts to strengthen defence cooperation in the region and ongoing commitment to Sri Lankan security. U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chang met with Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena today as well. In a tweet, the ambassador said, quote, efforts to stabilize and strengthen Sri Lanka's economy must be undertaken hand in hand with political reforms needed to address the urgent concerns of the people, unquote.
You're watching Primetime News. Let's now cross over to a short commercial break.
නිවෙස පුරා ගලන මේ සතුට සුරක්ෂිත කරන්නේ Eslon Insight. Eslon ජීවයයි ජලයේ ජීවිතේ.
Welcome back to the news. In more local news, Shashi Veeravansa, the wife of former Minister Bimal Veeravansa, was sentenced to 2 years of rigorous imprisonment today after she was found guilty of obtaining a diplomatic passport by submitting false information. In addition to this, she was also ordered to pay a fine of 100,000 rupees and an additional 6 months imprisonment if she fails to pay the fine.
Handing down the sentence today, the Colombo magistrate said that the evidence presented at the trial had confirmed that she had been in possession of an illegal passport. The magistrate said that while going through the facts of the case, it can be seen that the controller of Immigration and Emigration had also assisted the accused in obtaining this illegal passport. The magistrate also ordered for the judgment of the case to be communicated to the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration so that action can be taken against officials who aided and abetted this illegal act. Senior Deputy Solicitor General Dileepa Pires, who appeared on behalf of the Attorney General, informed the court that the accused has taken undue advantage of her husband's powers while he was a minister. The Senior Deputy Solicitor General further said that even though the application to this passport was made through the one-day service counter, it has now been revealed that she had obtained the passport without even going to the counter in person. Denying all allegations made against his client, President's Counsel Shavendra Fernando, who appeared on behalf of the accused, informed court that even the controller of Immigration and Emigration had accepted that this passport is a valid document. The President's Counsel further requested the court to impose a lenient sentence on his client, the accused, as she is a mother of 2 children. After the sentence was delivered, President's Counsel, appearing for Shashi Veeravansa, submitted an appeal seeking an acquittal for Shashi Veeravansa from all charges. The Colombo magistrate then decided to consider the bail application made on behalf of Shashi Veeravansa on the 30th of May, as an appeal challenging the sentence has already been filed.
අන්තිම නඩු නියෝජන තියෙනවා මේ අයිඩෙන්ටි කාඩ් ප්‍රශ්නයක් මේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයාගේ බිරිඳට ශ්‍රීලංකා රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා මේ පිරිලිය ගිණුම සම්බන්ධව නීතිය ඇටියට උසාවියේ
It is illegal to make comments regarding matters that are being tried in courts. I am a lawyer. As a person who knows the law, I cannot make that mistake. I have my own opinion, but I cannot express it in public. Shashi Veeravansha was taken to the Valikada prison this evening. Former parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayake was produced before the Negombo District Court today. He was appearing in a defamation case filed by former State Minister Nimal Langza. The case was taken up before Negombo District Judge Nuwan Taraka Hinetigala. The matter was postponed to the 31st of September. Meanwhile, a silent protest was held opposite the Negombo court demanding the release of Ranjan Ramanayake.
රංජුගේ විදහාස් කරයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් මේ කට්ටිය මෙතනට ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නේ.
Murderers, thieves, drug lords and even rapists are roaming freely while a person who spoke the truth is still in prison. We may have to face a similar fate in the future. We are requesting the public to raise their voices against this. In a letter to the Inspector General of Police, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya said that the police are arresting peaceful protesters using the video footage from the incident that unfolded on the 9th of this month. While those who incited and engaged in the violence have not been arrested yet, the SJB said the police are operating in a manner that disregards the advice of the Attorney General. The SJB urged the police to stop arresting those who attended the protest before the incident took place on the 9th. In another letter to the IGP and the Attorney General yesterday, the Centre of Policy Alternatives expressed concerns over the slow progress of investigations and action over the attacks against peaceful protesters at the Gotago Gama and Mainago Gama protest site in Colombo on the 9th of this month. The CPA said that it is imperative that urgent action be taken by the law enforcement authorities to investigate and adhere to the instructions of the Attorney General to arrest these individuals. It said inaction in some cases raise questions as to the independence and impartiality of law enforcement authorities and whether the authorities have different standards for different citizens. The CPA reiterated that the law should be applied to all equally.
The peaceful protest at Gore Face opposite the President's office in Colombo entered its 49th day today. The people are demanding President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to step down. Newsfirst Senitha Senanayaka brings us the latest.
I'm reporting to you from Gore Face, from the protest site dubbed Gotago Gama. It's been 49 days since this protest site is continuing, has been occupying the Gore Face premises. Tomorrow it will be the 50th day, it will enter day 50. And even today, as you can see, people from all walks of life are here, disabled war veterans, members of the Sri Lanka deaf community, religious leaders, university students and many more factions are here today as well, demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
The IMF recently said the crisis that we are in right now is purely because of mismanagement, and the person who is responsible for that is Gotabaya Rajapaksa, no one else. And also, in the months to come, we are going to face a food crisis. There's no crop in this country. The crops have been gone down by 50%. The main reason for that is also the chemical fertilizer ban that was imposed last year. The main person who was responsible for this is still at his office, and we as young people, we can't bear that anymore. We want immediate immediately for him to resign.
It's been 50 days since we have been resisting the power that's trying to oppress us, that's trying to suppress our sorrows and our inability to survive. And as the youth, we cannot take this anymore.
My signboard says this: I don't believe he's a prime minister. If the people doesn't consider him as a prime minister, and even the people doesn't consider the president as the president, a person can think that he's the president or the prime minister. If the people doesn't give the respect, he's nobody.
Personally, I'm here because I'm tired of watching all these political games, all the mind games that they're playing with the people, and all of the thievery happening in the parliament.
We are suffering lots of problems, like we don't have medicines, we don't have fuel, and many problems. We are surviving hardly in Sri Lanka, so we need a system change.
Surveyors accompanied by officers of the CID visited Gotago Gama to survey the land for mapping purposes. According to an order issued by the Fort Magistrates Court, they said that the protest site must be structured based on a plan, but we told them that the area of the entire protest site can be recorded. However, the places in the protest site should not be surveyed in a certain way that can be identified. If that is the case, we are afraid that those planning attacks on the protest site or even the campsite can attack them easily. Tomorrow will mark the 50th day of the protest at Gotago Gama. Mahinda Rajapaksa is not on the list that incited attacks on the protests at Galface. However, the public and protesters are being arrested. We condemn this. We have organized protests that will be held after the 2nd of next month. This is after the O-level exam. Trade unions and the public will join the protests. We would like to clearly tell the government that Gotabaya Rajapaksa must step down. If the government is not listening to us, we have no option but to organize demonstrations and fight for our demands. We also demand the Gotabaya Ranil conspiracy to solve the problems of these people. Was Ranil Wickremesinghe able to get rid of the fuel queues or feed the people? Was he able to solve the issues faced by the people? No. We only have one thing to say: Gotabaya and Ranil must go home. Ranil yanda gedara. The CID is visiting Mahinda Rajapaksa to record statements. They are arresting the general public over the attacks that happened on the 9th of May. The police are making these arrests based on a list prepared by the politicians. The innocent must be released immediately. This struggle has awakened the people today. The right thing to do is to send the 225 home. The administration must be sent home. Give the people a chance to vote for the leaders they want in power. The second awakening is inevitable in those wrong decisions you may make.
Leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa has raised concerns on money printing in the country. He says that he has a serious suspicion that these notes are being printed to provide relief to the wealthy in the country.
The opposition leader made this revelation today while attending a meeting with members of the Disabled Persons Union Collective. We often hear how the ultra-rich of this country default their payments to financial institutions in the country. Some of them have defaulted their tax payments, and these numbers are in billions and millions. In some of the news, I saw that they have made a decision to print ₹1 trillion to overcome the current crisis. We have a serious suspicion as to whether they are printing these notes to provide tax relief to the rich. There are people who belong to this extremely wealthy category in the country who have defaulted payments to state banks, and some even have allegations of robbing the central bank in broad daylight. We have a concern as to whether they are printing this money so that the rich can be waived off from their debts.
You're watching Primetime News. Let's now cross over to a short commercial break.
මොකද මහත්තයා මේ නෑ මේ ගෙදර සිංක් එකේ අයි මහත්තයා ස්ලෝන් නෙවෙයිද දැම්මේ හදිස්සියට බාලා පයිප්පයක් දැම්මේ නැද්ද මුදලාලි ඊයේ පෙරේදා කඩේ රිපෙයාර් කරන්න ගෙනාපු ගම් චුට්ටා මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට හොඳම විසඳුම ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැබැයි ඉක්මනින් දාගන්න ස්ලෝන් පයිප්පයක්
එස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැම ගෙදරකම සිටිය යුතු ජලනල කාර්මිකයා දැන් ළඟම ග්‍රොසරියෙන් මිලදී ගන්න.
The news. A new phase of the Divi Savya program to distribute dry rations among families in need was held in the Ratnapura district today. The program is sponsored by LOLC Holdings.
This small house where Rukmini Sanjeevani and her 2 children were living in went up in flames while they were away. When they returned, there was nothing left. When we told the world about the plight of Rukmini, a generous Sri Lankan residing in Sydney, Australia, came forward to build a house for Rukmini and her children. Support from magnanimous donors poured in immediately after the story of the family of Gamini Upathissa was made known.
හුඟක් අය උදව් කළා. ඉතින් අපි වගේ අයගේ දුක සැප බලනවට ගම්මැද්ද වැඩසටහනට ගොඩාක් පිං.
Sarat Abesinghe, who is struggling to make ends meet and care for his children, including twins, continues to receive support from generous donors. The chairman of the Hingurakuda Pradesh Sabha had promised to provide this family with 5,000 rupees every month. Gammadda salutes people who are coming forward to lend a helping hand to those in need.
News First with the people.
A new phase of the Divi Savya program to distribute dry rations among families in need was held in the Ratnapura district today. The program is sponsored by LOLC Holdings.
The Divi Savya program, sponsored by LOLC Holdings, was conducted for the 17th day today. Two teams distributed dry rations in 8 Gram Niladari divisions in the Ratnapura district. The Divi Savya program aims at supporting low-income families battered by the economic crisis.
A vigil was held in the US state of Connecticut for victims of Tuesday's mass shooting in the US state of Texas.
The event was held at the Trinity Episcopal Church in honor of the 19 children and 2 teachers killed at the Texas Elementary School on Tuesday.
There are no words. And truly, there are no words.
Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have arrived at a courthouse in Fairfax for the final day of their ongoing libel suit. Asith Fernando led Sri Lanka's attack on the final day with a man of the match performance. He guided his side to a 10-wicket win against Bangladesh and helped him secure crucial ICC World Test Championship points. With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Shah Singh for News First, where people come first. Good night. Take care.